Love is just one of the many emotions that people possess. It is by far the most appealing emotion we have. Everyone contains some love inside. The question is whether or not they choose to show it. Those that do show it, show it. They do not hold anything back for others. However, those that don't show any, well, they just block it out. The interesting thing about love, though, is whether or not you want it to, it will always show itself when you find that special someone or dinner plate. The feeling of love is the strongest and most persuasive emotion that all humans possess. In the book Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer, the love that Oscar has for his father causes him to partake in a very interesting adventure. In the book, Oscar's father unfortunately dies in the bombing of the Twin Towers, and through a stroke of dumb luck, Oscar discovers a key with a paper with the name Black written in red. It is a subtle clue of either something of his father since he loved to riddle Oscar, or a word that means nothing. However, this key sends Oscar off into a whirlwind adventure all over New York, meeting all new people, trying to find a meaning to the word black and where the key belongs to. Oscar will not give up out of love to his father. If he had to, he would have searched thousands of houses and lockboxes. He would have done anything sane or outrageous just to feel closer to his father, just because he loved his father so much. It is that emotion of love that drives Oscar to search for the meaning of that little key. In the book A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, Miriam is truly driven by her emotion love. It persuades her to do a thing she would not normally do. She leaves the Kolba for the first time in her life against her mother's wishes and runs to Herat just to be with Jalil. She ignores her mother's pleas that death will come upon her if she leaves her there, but she goes anyways. She needs to be with Jalil. She loves him. When she gets there, she is told that he isn't there, so she actually sleeps out on the street in front of the gates and declines food offered to her by one of his daughters. She does this just to see Jalil because she loves him so much. On the flip side, Jalil refuses to publicly show any form of love to Miriam and leaves her on the street without a word, knowing that she is sitting out there. Back to Miriam, later in the book, she has love for Lila, the other woman her horrible husband Rashid is married to. It shows her ability to make her do something she would never do. He was abusive and such a horrendous man, and one day his abuse went too far. He was actually choking Lila, and he isn't letting up. He's going to kill her, she thought. He really means to, and Miriam could not and would not allow that to happen. He'd taken so much from her in the 27 years of marriage, she would not watch him take Lila too. And so she killed him with a shovel. And she took the fall so Lila could go and live her life. She loved her so much that she gave her life so that Lila could live hers. That love for Lila was the persuasion for her loss of life.
When I was 21 years old, I went on vacation with my family to Rhode Island to visit my aunt and uncle. And my uncle was working with Mr. McDevitt at the time, and he introduced Mr. McDevitt to me on that trip. And when I saw Mr. McDevitt, it was love at first sight. And I hope he felt the same. But I was there for 2 weeks, and we got to know each other then by going out to dinner and being able to see each other. But I went home, and we were going to have a long-distance relationship. But that didn't happen because I couldn't wait to get to know the person that potentially I was to spend the rest of my life with. So, when I was 21 years old, I packed up my things, I sold my car, I quit going to the University of Oregon, and I flew to Rhode Island and moved out there, lived with another family actually, which was really awesome, and got to know Mr. McDevitt. And as a married couple, we moved back to Oregon. And approximately 2 years after that, we both became teachers at Westland High School.
Once I sold my stereo to my girlfriend to make my car payment. I sold it to her to make my car payment because I knew that I was going to marry her someday and get the stereo back. And I know that that's true because after I met my future wife, I came home to my roommates and I wrote down that someday I was going to marry her, and I wrote the date on the calendar. So I knew that when I sold my stereo to my girlfriend a couple months later, I knew that I was going to get it back because we were going to be married and then it was going to be mine again. And it was.
I learned to scuba dive for my husband, even though I am afraid of open water and I'm not a good swimmer.
So I do yoga with my wife, and that's something that I probably would never have done on my own, maybe, but she really wanted to do this, and I agreed to it. And like most things that she talked me into, I feel much better about myself after doing a little bit of vinyasa. But ultimately, I only did it because I loved her.
Okay. So one of the biggest things I did for love was stay in Oregon for college when I should have gone away to college. So I stayed for my high school sweetheart because he didn't want to go away, and then I broke up with him 2 weeks after college started. So ladies, don't make a decision based on your high school sweetheart.
Is it going? Is it now?
He looks really loving.
Okay. Well, I drive a Prius out of love for my wife, and I really think that's the ultimate sacrifice, considering that no man should be able to have to drive a Prius that they can't fit in or see left or right in.
All in all, love makes us do things that we probably wouldn't do without that powerful emotion to provoke us. It really is the most persuasive emotion that we possess.